4 minutes and 20 seconds till they open. Again, full expectation here of noise, chop, stop, run, lower, all that stuff. I'm in this position smaller to account for that and give this trade room to kind of campaign around it a bit. So, if we get a probe lower, start to get a turn, I'll probably put some on and again look to kind of scale it on its favorable rotation if given, obviously. Things like that. Ding, ding, ding. Put a little bit back on there. Nailed the turn. Can it sustain a rotation? Order flow on a short-term basis, trying to hold delta neutral to the downside. Perfect little spot below the overnight lows, which is right where kind of we finished this little RTH, you know, tiny little ledge type thing, not a profile ledge, but just a couple highs right there. So right here where that pink level is, right where weekly development value low is, it's a hot spot. A lot of buying on the tape just now as I started talking. Slightly absorbed by a passive seller. Natural gas is twice as far as those targets that we had put down there about some good destinations for it. It's blown through those. It's a wild market. One thing you can watch early on is the opening print. So it's probably hard to see, but this little A right here is blue. That's the open opening price. Um, that's a classic market profile way to assess the strength of buyers or sellers or lack thereof during kind of the opening phase of trade. Are we above and below it? Do we go back and retest it, maybe even in B period and can't get through it from one side? Things like that. So I was aware that that move higher right there went up to that opening print, and then the sellers kind of stepped in and moved it away from it. So here we are testing back up into it now. Just churn here, no real meaningful. I think the next likely thing is we're almost building in a little wedge, which right now just broke to the downside. So let's see what the sellers can do with that, getting that momentum in their favor. Right into that pink area we talked about would be a good spot for it to get to. Should be stops below there, so it might see some kind of capitulation into the actual, like maybe -2 intraday. We are back into delta neutral. just put on another little piece here. All right, here's kind of the potential real stop run. Now, what was that order flow? Passive buyer, little bit of absorption, normal, lack of buying, lack of selling, passive seller, normal to potentially weak. Definitely weak in the last move. Just kind of recapping the sequence of events in order flow in my head. Speed of the tape picking up, a little bit of panic selling right there. Strong buying right there. Aggressive, I should say. So we've let this trade do what we had, anticipated it might do, run some stops. We're staying loose. Just because we get below the weekly development value doesn't mean anything. We talked about that would still be valid down into the 1.5, those kind of areas in terms of what we were looking for. But now that we have gone to the brink, we do need to see something from this market, right? If it wants to go imbalance down against us here, it might start doing so here, you know. If it can't get back into prior value, that's going to be a problem, right? So 13 minutes until B period, we're going to need to see us get back into prior value and start to traverse it. I mean, I would love to scale here, but kind of what's the point based on my average price? I did not get long any additional size from down at the -2. Thought about it. There was a little bit of like late rotation capitulation. I mentioned that there was the panic selling. And that panic selling didn't start from the turn up here. You know, there was some selling there. Then there was a lack of selling for a bit, and they really kind of panicked into that low, which is indicative of the completion of a move, right? We talked about that. Is it smart order flow or is it dumb order flow, right? Is it people who are being forced to do something inefficient, or is it smart stuff? Always be aware of what's what. I probably am going to be forced to scale here and then look for something better to put size back on. Unless I get lucky and we just see a very outsized rotation. All right, so I did scale. It's such a move that's potentially imbalanced down, potentially breakout pullback from prior value. We have to respect the risk here. That wasn't a profit taking scale. That was a risk management scale based on, you know, just some shorter term things being technically against us here. So far, you know, with the benefit of hindsight, looks like a perfect scale. Doesn't look good for the long here, but we're going to stay with it. Nothing's invalidated about our narrative premise. We determined that we were going to be loose with this today. So if I see something I like, we'll get into some size from lower and continue to improve our average, if you will. But right now, it looks like the sellers are firmly taking this. Again, you know, reference the DMI chart, right? We're still in the go zone. Big picture. I took a conservative scale out there to protect risk because some short-term stuff doesn't look good. Put on some more here. Beautifully timed. Scaled. Scaled more. Back up to that opening print. See the sellers hop in. Probably there's some stops above RTH high of day. Looks pretty ripe to run through this area. So just real quick, I think I want to change the color of this thing. Apologies. I can't decide what color I want it to be. Yellow works. So just real quick, I want to reiterate the importance of this sequence here. Potential turning point here off a lower extreme. We don't get favorable movement. We do get a rotation here. We take a cautious scale, which frees us up to then really take advantage of this next rotation from a better price. We respected risk. We respected things that didn't look good here. We pounced on this, timed it well, scale some of this ad, scale the rest of this ad. Shorts have to be shaking in their boots here, huh? let's zoom out big picture here. Let's just get back to basics, right? Let's just look at the weekly, right? Forget all those details, all the trades we took. This down move is nothing. It's just what we kind of figured might happen. A little stop run through that area. Nothing's changed about this weekly picture. We're bullish from here, looking for here. One tick stop run through that area that I just highlighted. I'll just delete it since it's done now. Minute and 20 seconds until B period. B period is going to set the tone, I think. You know, A period gave excess to the downside. Is B period going to reject something like the opening print? Is it going to start to give us a poor high but work back lower so that we still look for that upside lack of excess? What's that going to start to form and look like? Took some more profits there. B period begins. So B period's opening above the opening print. It's opening inside of prior value. So for this trade to work out, what do we need to see? We need to see some form of this excess, right? So our stop is now essentially low of day. A period needs to be an excess. B period needs to start to confirm that excess.